Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. I am your host, Jim Root, joined by the rest of the three-man weave crew, Kai McEwen and Matt Cox. It's another Monday morning, and every Monday we're in your feed talking college basketball betting. You can tune into all of the different BBOC episodes, midweek and weekend, which we also contribute to as well. But you can get your fix on college basketball betting. Today's episode, we're going to discuss key games of the week, some big ones on Big Monday, talk some mid-major games, some favorite favorites, some live dogs, some spots, really go all over the board here. And let's just get started on Monday. Mr. McEwen, we've got Louisville at UNC, Houston at Kansas. Which one do you want to talk about? Houston, obviously the big game there, having lost twice in a row.
Yes, the Houston Kansas game intrigues me more, Jim. So Houston favored. Is the line out right now for Houston Kansas already?
Houston's -1.5. Yep.
In the last time they were favored at KU, Kelvin Sampson famously said we should not be favored at Fog Allen. That's ridiculous. I'm sure he feels the same way this year. Two straight losses for Houston, coming off surprise. Well, Arizona and Iowa State. What are you gonna do? Still, not familiar territory for them. They obviously don't lose too many games in the Big 12, but Kansas obviously off a huge Cincy loss at home, the biggest unranked margin of loss at Fog Allen history, Jim, since the AP era. Spot wise, Matt, I don't know where to turn in this one. I think KU's every bit of capable of hanging and winning in this game. The boards might be a problem for them. But they're still very good defensively inside the paint. I'm not going to be fading Bill Self on a big Monday at Fog Allen coming off a loss.
I won't either. Yeah, I don't think there's any spot edge to this one. I'm just sort of stunned at what Kansas looked like. Just the fact that Mo Thiam at 28 dominated what we thought was what we, I think, still believe is like an awesome KU defensive front line. I kind of think that was just a one-off weird game. You look at the 2-point distance, KU took a ton of tough mid-ranges, and I think a lot of that was Darren Peterson. Trey White was very inefficient, Melvin Council as well. When you don't get good games from your backcourt, and Peterson was good, just his supporting cast wasn't. But I think the defense, Jim, is what the concern is. I actually like the over in this game. Feels like it should be, I think, in theory, a rock fight, but I think the way Kansas defense is sort of struggling, and I think the way we've seen Houston's offense be lifted by Sharp and Fleming, I kind of like the over at 136.
I sort of buy the over there, Matthew. I think Houston is very, very capable offensively. We've seen Fleming's really have some monster scoring performances. A couple things on this game. It is Kansas's fourth time as a home dog this year. They are 2-1 in those games. They beat Iowa State. They beat Arizona. They lost to UConn. I think Bill Self had been a home dog like 3 times ever before this season, and now it's 4 in a single year. The vibes are so strange around this Kansas team with the Darren Peterson saga ongoing. He did play 32 minutes over the weekend, but his quotes have felt a little more like ornery with it. Like he seems to be annoyed with the ins and outs, and he doesn't know what his availability is going to be. But yeah, I'm not going against Bill Self on Big Monday. He's 40-0 at the Fog on Big Monday nights. So that is a trend you can maybe believe in. The other one, the undercard, we've got Louisville and UNC. Unfortunately, this is not the Caleb Wilson versus Mikel Brown Jr. battle that we had hoped for, Matthew, because Caleb Wilson is out, still dealing with his wrist injury. At least they got Vesar back and are, at least a little bit healthier. But man, Louisville kind of playing well right now, trending up with their backcourt, the way they're scoring. They were able to destroy Georgia Tech over the weekend. Any lean for you in this one, Matthias?
No lean for me here. Market likes Louisville. Open 1.5 up to 3 pretty quickly there. It seems like some of the openers with UNC are still stale to price in the no Wilson thing. But no, V-Star back's huge. That Wilson's obviously such a game changer on both ends, but I still like this UNC team when you have a healthy V-Star with the way their backcourt. It's not been great, but it's been improved. Trimble's been, I think he's fully healthy now. I was short to think Louisville could hit another gear with Mikel Brown back. I do think that maybe I took them for granted. And I sort of thought that he's good, but not like a crazy huge ceiling raiser. But I think we're starting to see some evidence of that. And I think they probably have the better backcourt in this game, frankly. So I don't know. I stayed away here. I feel like if it goes any higher, I might go to UNC at 4 or 5, but not at 3.
I definitely lean towards Louisville. They absolutely have a better backcourt. Vasar back's huge. He crushed Syracuse, and they clearly looked better with him in the lineup. Helped they were playing Syracuse, but I still don't love this team without Caleb Wilson. I do not love their backcourt. Seth Trimble, Jim mentioned, getting better, getting more healthier. But I am still in Operation Fade, if anything, on them without Caleb Wilson. Shooting battle will be fun again. We always pointed out, but UNC still just getting scorched from three. Their opponents are just making everything, and Louisville has a 52% 3-point attempt rate. They're just going to shoot threes all game long. So I lean Louisville here, even at 2.5.
Yeah, typically Carolina's defense forces you to take a lot of jumpers because they're playing that deep drop coverage with Vasar waiting at the rim. Man, that's scary to do against Brown Jr. and Ryan Conwell and Isaac McNeely. I definitely lean towards Louisville. I'm not going to bet them as a road favorite in the Dean Dome, but it's kind of a heavy lean to the Cardinals there. Tuesday night, fellas, couple of big ones as well. Staying in the ACC, NC State heads to Virginia. Kind of an odd spot there for Virginia. They've got Duke coming up on tap this weekend. Could be a huge one for the ACC title race, but they've got to get by Will Wade's crew first. Tennessee -5 at Mizzou per KenPom, and Auburn on the road at Oklahoma. The reeling Auburn Tigers, although were able to get right against Kentucky. Matthew, any of these jump out at you? You're going to be wagering on Tuesday night?
I kind of like Virginia. I'm sort of betting on the thing. I like Virginia a lot, but I think this might be a head scratching weird NC State game. Just feels like they've been sort of Jekyll and Hyde all season, and I like the matchup for the Who's. I think they sort of have put that UNC second half, which I thought sort of psychologically got to them. I think in a couple games after that, but since then they've been really strong. I like the Who's, Kai. We'll see what this number opens at. I feel like it's going to be closer to, I don't know. Markets at NC State price pretty aggressively. So maybe five is actually about where it opens. I think if it's
Yeah,
five
I
or
agree
less,
with you.
I'll be on the Who's.
I'm with you. I'll be on Virginia. Didn't realize they were 24-3. Yeah, that was a three losses is not what I didn't realize. So game one was all Virginia. They played each other earlier this season, won by 15, hit 13 threes. NC State was cold. That was certainly a big part of it. But I just really like this team. They have a big time glass edge in this game. Their defense has been excellent in ACC play. I think they get the sweep here. Even with Duke on deck, you can think there's a look ahead aspect to this game, but I think they get it done. I will be betting on Virginia.
Yeah, I think the paint advantage is really what shows up here. They out rebounded NC State 36-24 in the first meeting. That I think is sustainable. They've got so much more size up front. And Van Allen Lubin is not quite like true center sized. And NC State's kind of got some thin wings, like not a overly physical group. They can get going if they're knocking down shots, but I think Virginia's got a major edge in the paint there. I'm not going to join you guys there, but I am going to bet Tennessee, Kai, and that
Yeah, that's
probably
fine.
seems silly, but Mizzou's kind of been a whack-a-mole team all season, and anytime I think they're going to play well, they don't. And when I count them out, they beat Vanderbilt at home.
Mm.
But I think Tennessee's defensive structure is going to be a problem for the Tigers. Rick Barnes is fantastic on that end, and Nate Ament is like really taking off. He's top five in Player of the Year in the SEC per Ken Palm. It's him and Acuff and Filan. Like I guess Filan's a sophomore, but the freshmen are putting up big numbers. He was a little quiet against Vanderbilt over the weekend, but Maddie, I like the Vols. Am I crazy?
No, I don't. I just can't figure out your Mizzou Tigers. Like it's such a long and it's you defensively is where they've been dicey, right? Where they've been exposed. Texas was like one game that pops out, and Arkansas just they made some tough shots. We watched that game, but still, this Mizzou defense I think should be better. I was sort of stubbornly buying into the length because they are a pretty huge team, but it just hasn't translated. So I don't know. I kind of lean Vols with you there as well, Jim.
Yep, I just wrote down no idea. They could win, lose, draw this game. Mizzou is unpredictable. They are 4-1 against the spread the last 5 games. They barely covered against Arkansas. So
They did cover against
I would
Arkansas.
say Mizzou is playing better overall, trending up, but Tennessee is also playing a lot better than what we saw in the early middle parts of the season. I think Tennessee kind of crushes Mizzou on the boards despite Mizzou's perceived and actual height. But again, they can beat anybody. So I'll stay away, Jim. In the Auburn game, I'm just curious to see if Auburn can win. If they lose, it might seal their fate being out of the tournament. They should not have beaten Kentucky. It was a horrible foul called on Kentucky that basically gave them the win. And Oklahoma is feisty. Kind of like Mizzou can beat anybody in the SEC on a given night.
Yeah, Oklahoma hasn't rolled over. I kind of thought, they were going to pack it in, but they beat Vanderbilt, they beat Georgia. We're right there with Texas A&M over the weekend. Not a chance of getting a bid. They're under 500, but Auburn, they are so close to the cut line just because of the losses. 15 and 12 overall now. They really do need that one, but I can't trust them. I think they're kind of a little too erratic for me. I guess Mizzou is about as erratic as it gets, and I'm
Hmm.
investing in that game. But I think the Vols have a major offensive glass advantage. So, all right, let's keep moving here. Let's go to mid-major games of the week. New Mexico and Nevada on Tuesday. We've also got SLU at Dayton. Undefeated Miami of Ohio is on the road at Eastern Michigan. Matt, what do you think about SLU? I think they're coming off the big win over VCU, probably feeling good about themselves. They've now got a 2-game lead and the tiebreak in the A10. They destroyed Dayton in the first meeting. The Billiken Blizzard just kind of unceremoniously kicked their butt. Do you get a bounce back from the Flyers here, or you can talk New Mexico, Nevada, or Miami, of Ohio, but take it whatever direction you want?
No, I'm nervous for SLU here. I just feel like the way that surge at the end of the VCU game, now you have to go play your arch rival who you embarrassed uh, just a week and a half ago, and Dayton is playing better. We know this team's talented. I think Latang has looked, he's been healthier. He's kind of looks back to full strength, and you kind of look at where they struggled. It's where he was just getting back into the fold. So a full strength Dayton team has not been sort of as bad as the vibes have indicated. I know people are sort of trying to shove Anthony Grant out the door there. I'm a little worried for SLU here. I'm not going to bet Dayton, but I feel like this is one where maybe if there's some SLU steam. There usually is like good two-way in SLU games. People betting against kind of SLU's price, but then usually SLU will take some money. I think you might get a decent money line value opportunity on Dayton, but I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger there, Kai.
Crowd's gonna be awesome. We know that. SLU going full punk mode, like the latter half of the game against VCU was incredible to watch. Their their extra gear is just unmatched in the A10, and they went from double digits down to like up 18 in like a flash. It was incredible. And yeah, Jim mentioned they won by 31 in this first game. They hit 17 threes. They're 17 for 28 from three. That certainly helps. They might just have Dayton's number. I won't be touching this game. It is Matt's right. Dayton's won three straight. They look a lot better from their midseason lull. And they're clearly going to be up for this game. This would be a mini little Super Bowl-esque type of game with Dayton having no chance at an at-large bid. So I'd stay away, Jim, but heck, I'm always enamored with SLU to back them.
Yeah, and fading them is not fun because of
No,
that
it's
gear you
not.
mentioned. Suddenly they can just flip a switch and hit a bunch of threes. Like the ball movement offensively is so pretty. And speaking of that, Miami of Ohio also plays on Tuesday night, another mid-major darling this season. But man, I don't think Eastern Michigan's going to be the one that slows them down. Miami's been brilliant offensively all season long. They're number one in the MAC in 2-point percentage, number three overall nationally in 2-point percentage. They just generate great shots. They've got a bunch of shooters. Eastern Michigan, just the defensive fortitude there. I know he's kind of tried some zone stuff, and I wish you well trying to zone Miami, Ohio. That
Yeah.
that sounds scary. I think I'm going to bet Miami, Matthew. It'll probably be higher than 8, just based on market's love of Miami. But I think I'd lay up to 10. I think they can just blow out Eastern Michigan.
No, I agree, and I think they have that incentive too, right? Like, there's going to be certainly in that bubble discussion, and I just feel like every possession is going to matter if you can climb a few extra spots in the metrics. So if they get in a spot where they can keep throwing on the gas, they will. And yeah, if they get zoned, that's a terrible idea if he sticks with that. No, Carlos Hart's been huge for Eastern Michigan. I just think he's such a game changer, such a unique talent. The only official bet I'll throw out here from the mid major, not to circle back to Monday real quick, but I'm gonna give out Grambling, Patrick
Oh,
Crary's boys
Mississippi Valley
after
State off the win.
gonna fade MVSU off the big win against Texas Southern. And for some reason, the schedulers set it up to where they could go Saturday, Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday. So not only is it sort of a spot play here with like the off their first win, but like scheduling, like they could be totally out of gas. Um, and last year at FAMU, Crary beat the Delta Devs by 30. I think they roll here pretty big. So simple.
Yeah, you
Huh,
got fat and happy Delta Devils after the win.
I can't believe they beat
Feeling
Texas Southern.
themselves.
It's incredible. Um, One thing about Emu, they've played good teams pretty close, like down the stretch here in the last month or so, even without Hart. They put Akron 2 point game, Kent State 4 point game, Kent State overtime, Appalachian State at Appalachian State was close, 2 possession game. Like it's not impossible for them to hang around and muck up a game, but I think Miami wins their 28th straight. They're just, and I hope they make the tournament. They deserve an at-large bid at this point.
Yeah, lest we forget, Eastern Michigan also won at Cincinnati, who just punked Kansas, and
Yeah,
so
I
they
forgot about
clearly
that.
have the gear that can ascend. You said enamored earlier, Kai. That's how I feel about Miami of Ohio's offense. It's
Mhm.
just if you bet against it, like they take runs and can give 10-0s right back to you, and that's not fun to wager against. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna back the Redhawks. That sounds way more fun to go that direction. All right, let's get into live dogs. Kai had a nice little batch last week.
Nice.
Georgia won at Kentucky. Virginia Tech probably should have won at Miami. It just came up barely short there. And Arizona State knocked off Texas Tech. Unfortunately, that was not the only loss of that game for the Red Raiders, with JT Toppin going down. But I think it was a pretty solid pick off of the spot with Texas Tech coming off that Arizona win. So I've got a couple here listed. I'm not sure. See if you guys can talk me into and make the case for any of them. But one I do like on Monday is UT Rio Grande Valley getting 10.5 points at McNeese. That's too high. Rio Grande Valley is really good. They're super well coached. I think McNeese, if you can take care of the ball against them, like at all, then you have a pretty good shot. Their whole system is built around defensive pressure, number one in the country in forced turnover rate. Rio Grande Valley being they're not great in the turnover rate department, but I trust Fennel to have a solid game plan here. Matthew, I'll throw out a couple others on Tuesday that I noted down. Cincinnati plus 11 at Texas Tech. Obviously, there's no JT Toppin there, or is Cincy a letdown spot after their win at Kansas? A couple Big East dogs, Xavier plus 7 at Providence, Marquette plus 5 at Georgetown, and USC plus 7 at UCLA. Bruins coming off an OT buzzer beating win from Donovan Dent, going a little Tyus Edney to beat Illinois. Any of those jump out at you, Matthew? Either the Monday Rio Grande Valley or any of those Tuesday ones?
Yeah, Marquette might be my favorite one here. Like UCA, USC actually might be the best because if you get Baker Mazzara and Arenas back, we'll see what that number will be bet down pretty quickly. But I like Marquette here. They basically played not great, but very much better than they were playing for the first 3 months of the year. The only exception was the loss at Xavier. Xavier just made 15, and they shot the crap out of the ball, right? So Georgetown, as we know, who just played the most disgusting game of basketball we've witnessed in the modern era against Seton Hall. Look at that box score at your own risk. I think it's a much better matchup. Nigel James, how he's kind of reinvigorated this team. I would be shocked if Georgetown's favored by more than 4. I feel like this is going to be bet to like 3.
Mhm.
I think 3 would be my kind of my cutoff. But I think Marquette really, I think they get off the 3 game losing skid here and beat a team that I think is better than. So
Intrigued by Rio, Jim. They beat McNeese earlier this season, and line opens 2.5 higher than Kempom is interesting too. So
Yep.
that's intriguing to me. I think they're a good team. Yeah, Cincy. I'm interested in fading Texas Tech, frankly, without Toppin. They beat Kansas State by 30. Texas Tech did without him, and they still have obviously Christian Anderson, very good player. I'm curious what the spread is. Kempom's got 11, or probably 8-ish, I would imagine, especially Cincinnati coming off that big win. Then they've beaten Iowa State at Kansas and maybe at Texas Tech. The resume is not getting, it's not looking too bad right now if they win this game. But I will be on Marquette. I agree with Matt. They've been a lot better lately. Like them here as a dog, Shaka as a dog. Didn't work out earlier this season, but it's working a little bit now. Georgetown kind of smoked them in game one, but I think the Eagles are a much different team. That was like the first game of Big East play. So I will be on Marquette here. Lean towards USC with you, Jim. Cincinnati's very spread dependent.
Okay. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what that number is because of the availability concerns. I mean, Texas Tech shot the lights out against Kansas State, just jumped out to a big lead and never looked back. Matt, the box score you're referencing for those who aren't familiar, Seton Hall went 0 for 18 from 3 and beat Georgetown.
and one.
Yep. Georgetown was 4 for 23 themselves, so you have a combined 4 of 41 from distance in that game. Bleeding from the eyes, folks. Bleeding from the eyes. I'm going to take USC, though. I do typically like Musselman more as an underdog where the talent can play up. They did, as Matt mentioned, got Baker Mazara back last game. He came off the bench, big time scoring threat there. Arenas has had three really good games and a bunch of terrible ones beyond that.
Yeah.
But I think selling a little high on UCLA off that overtime win. They're feeling themselves a little bit. Dent was grinning in the post-game presser after the Ty Sunday impression. But crosstown rival, I think you get a home run effort from the Trojans there. I will take +7 there. I think you guys probably are onto something too with Marquette. James has been like a revelation in Big East play.
Mm.
All right, let's go to favorite favorites. Last week, K-State did smoke Baylor. The new coach bump did not carry over into the weekend against Texas Tech, but they did handle Scott Drew and the Bears. Texas barely survived LSU. Florida State barely survived BC.
What a good
But
match.
old reliable Air Force did not cover. I would also bet against Air Force this weekend with UNLV,
Yes.
and that went well too. Lo and behold, we do have an Air Force game again this week, but it's San Jose State. It is not one of the top 100 teams in the Mountain West, but I'm still probably going to do it. San Jose State -6 on Tuesday. Others I was looking at, Kai. Akron's -12 against Buffalo on Tuesday. I would probably estimate that line's going to be higher because Freitag has missed 4 straight games for Buffalo. Troy -10. They're coming off a loss against South Alabama where they took like a million threes and Kobe Campbell went 0 for 10. But Louisiana, I think, is a pretty good get right spot for them. And then SFA on Monday night, another one where the line is 2.5 points higher than Ken Palm's got it. They're laying 13.5 against New Orleans. That just felt a little bit too high for me to actually lay with SFA. So, Kai, I think it's just going to be San Jose State and Troy for me.
I'm with you on both. A little bit nervous, but Troy's missing Theo Sang last couple of games. I think he's important, but I do think Troy can destroy Louisiana. They did in the first game. In 64 possessions, they scored 90 points and won by 20. So I think they can pretty much do what they want to the Cajuns. And yes, I will be on San Jose State. Air Force is 1-13 in their last 14 games against the number. And they were, I believe, double-digit dogs in just about every one of those games. So yes, Operation Fade Air Force is fully on the plate for me.
I agree with the Air Force thing. However, I'd like to present a first half over full game angle. Air Force or San Jose just has no depth right now. I mean, they were right there with Boise last over the weekend. They collapsed late. They just beat Nevada, but they don't have Washington or Godarzi, which was sort of a recent development. So they have what I would call 5.5 guys playing a real rotation minutes. I mean, to see non or what's his name Nagna play 40 minutes is like, oh my God, like they're desperate. So I worry that they actually don't have the juice to like pull away late. I'd go first half there with San Jose.
Yes, they've just been a mash unit all season. You probably can't find another team in the country that's been more injured, with guys in and out of the lineup the way San Jose State has this year. So perhaps that is a little bit of a hesitance, but it's still Fade Air Force, man. I can't not. They only cover this calendar year was a late bucket to get by the hook. So yep, we'll continue fading there. Matt, any comments on Akron? I didn't know if I'd get Maddie Mack to get the take there with Freitag out for Buffalo. Akron still a game back of Miami, Ohio, trying to chase them down. But anything for you on the Zips?
Yeah, I lean that way. I'm probably not going to bet it though. We'll see where the number moves, but obviously Buffalo is it's a good matchup for Akron and B Buffalo without Freitag, despite the I would say somewhat impressive win over UMass. Although UMass can sometimes lay an egg, so I'm not sure how to view that win, but I definitely lean Akron here as well. I just don't think the number is going to be any bargain.
All right, yeah, let's move to spots. This is always my favorite section of the pod here because you just kind of try to get inside the psyche of some of these teams. Last week went really well. Michigan State destroyed UCLA, completely nuked them. UCF handled TCU. Thought that was a really good spot for UCF, and I think we all had that one circled. And Norfolk State did win at Maryland Eastern Shore. Don't have any spots on Monday, but Tuesday there's a whole bunch of them. We've got the both sides of the coin of the Michigan Duke game. Michigan is off the loss. They're playing Minnesota, but man, 22 feels crazy high against a Nico Medved team that can shorten the game. And then Michigan's got Illinois on Friday, so there could be some look ahead sandwich type thing there. I would actually lean towards Minnesota on that. And the same thing for Duke. They get this huge win in DC over Michigan. They're going to be number one, have that fresh new number one AP poll smell to them. They're going to Notre Dame on Tuesday, and they play Virginia over the weekend. That is a tough sandwich spot as well. Matt, do you like either of those underdogs?
I love the spot. I love the coach for Notre Dame. I just don't think that roster, it, the the gap in athlete and talent is just so enormous there. I don't think even sort of any letdowns could really trip Duke up. I don't even think I like Indy on the number. I looked at Minnesota, Jim. I agree. I think the way Medved's just, I mean, I can't. They blew out who they just blew out over the weekend. Like just super impressive given their lack of depth. Like I just think this team actually might be not feisty, but actually kind of good. I know it's Rutgers, but still, they're playing a lot better. Even without Jalen Crocker Johnson, like that, I don't know how many more bullets in the chamber they have left. I think the Minnesota spot to me, I like more than the Fade Duke spot, kind of coming off that one.
Boy, I can't bet Minnesota without Crocker Johnson against Michigan. That sounds like a death sentence, but 22, that is ridiculously high. Iowa State of this bunch stands out to me. I've been kind of fading Utah a bit. They've been actually a little bit better, but UCF just covered against them. I thought Iowa State was going to handle BYU. I was incorrect in that statement, but I think I can get one for two, and I think Iowa State can get it done at Utah. I'm not super afraid of the back-to-back mountain trip. We saw for Houston, I'm not sure covered technically against Utah when they did this trip, but they did handle both teams by double digits. I think Iowa State can get this one done, so I'll be on the clones in this spot.
It's
Okay,
about
yeah, I was
Utah and Florida State, both first year head coaches from NBA. They've both kind of curbed the chaos that they brought into the year. Like Utah's been playing a lot slower, been much better defensively. They've been more, I think, effective as a betting stock, similar to Florida State. So just something to note there for the Utes, who I kind of thought were chopped liver, but they've been sneaky competitive. Really
you
again
mentioned
relative to
pace.
expectations.
You mentioned pace, Matt. I think that's a important angle with that Michigan Minnesota game as well.
Yeah.
Last four games for Minnesota, 55 possessions, 60, 60, 59. Like they are really shortening the game. You've got to do that against Michigan. You can't let them get out in transition. It's going to be tough to cover 25 points if it's only 59 possessions. I don't know if they can actually limit it that much against the way Michigan rebounds and pushes off of misses. It probably won't be quite that slow, but yeah, I'm definitely scared with no Crocker Johnson. One other one I think is a terrific spot that I am going to bet is Northwestern. They're +8 at Indiana. It's a tough one for IU between Purdue and Michigan State. It's just not the game that they're probably going to be all the way up for. Betting against them is nerve-wracking because Lamar Wilkerson can go for 40 at any time. But I'm going to ride with Martinelli and the boys on the road there in a tough spot for Indiana, +8. So Matt, did you finalize any picks here?
The only official one for this section, I have nothing actually. So anti-spot. Spots have screwed me all year. Need to get out of being a
Okay.
spot guy.
All right. Let's. One other one I wanted to mention too.
Although
Baylor.
I guess my Grambling is a spot play, so I'm talking about both sides of my mouth right now. But
Okay, sure.
yeah.
Baylor is +12 against Arizona. That's also a kind of a tricky sandwich for the Cats. They win at Houston, and then they've got Kansas over the weekend. I don't know if the Baylor game will have their full attention. That Baylor team has talent. They can play up, but they've struggled in the paint, and Arizona could end up dominating them there. So I'd be careful with that. But I think noting the spot is important because it's a tough one for Arizona. Let's move to the trash section. Last week, we pretty much nailed it, Kai.
Good trash.
Coppin State beats South Carolina State 59-57. I almost went with Mississippi Valley State and Grambling as the trash game, Matthew, but they've earned their way out of it, the Delta Devils, by getting a win. So it was St. Francis at New Haven on Tuesday in the NEC. This is St. Francis's final season in Division One, and it's been going pretty poorly lately. They've lost 8 in a row in a bad NEC. It's not a super low total game. I don't have like a great read on the under as we typically do for the trash section. But Kai, can you get on board New Haven against the struggling St. Francis Red Flash?
Yeah, I'll lean your way on New Haven. How about that? They handled them really easily in game one, up by 18, after a pretty close first half. St. Francis is just kind of like, let's just get down to D2 or whatever. Are they doing D3 actually?
D3, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's
I
brutal. After
mean,
they made the NCAA tournament last
tournament and
year,
then gosh, it's just such a weird story. Yeah, they kind of seem like a team that's done. I know they played LAU close, but I'd be fine fading them here at New Haven.
I like
yeah,
New Haven.
it's there he is.
Fitzpatrick.
Brand new
Good.
team. Chargers.
Jabri Fitzpatrick. He's been kind of up and down this year, but man, his like tape coming in when I previewed them was like really impressive, and his last three have been awesome. I know it was against Stonehill and FDU, not exactly defensive stalwarts, but yeah, I feel like the St. Francis sort of the ship is sinking with the inevitable kind of unfortunate demotion against a freshly minted new D1 team in New Haven. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one.
Is the ultimate like stoppable force versus movable object. New Haven's offense is bad and they play really slow, but St. Francis has like no interior
Yeah.
strength at all. There's 364th in 2-point percentage defense. That's even New Haven can potentially exploit that. So yeah, leaning towards New Haven, lean towards the under per usual in the trash, but not an official wager there. All right, fellas, let's round it up. Let's let the people know everything that we bet. I am going with Tennessee -5 on Tuesday against my Missouri Tigers. Sad, the tear runs down my face. Miami of Ohio -8 at Eastern Michigan. UT Rio Grande Valley getting 10.5 against McNeese on Monday night. That one's an actual. We have a line for it. USC +7 against UCLA in the Battle of LA. San Jose State -6 against Air Force. Of course, we've got to fade Air Force. Troy -10, bounce back game for them after they lost to South Alabama. And Northwestern +8 against Indiana. Maddie's Hoosiers just really buying that spot considering the schedule that Indiana's got there. Kai, what about you?
Yeah, hey, I think I was 5-2 last week. That's better than usual on this show. So we're gonna go with a 5 pack this week. Virginia against NC State. We're going Marquette as a dog against Georgetown. San Jose State in Operation Fade Air Force. Troy killing the Cajuns, and then Iowa State bouncing back after the loss to BYU and smoking the Utah Utes.
I'm sticking with three. My if it's nice, make it thrice. Went 2-1 last week. Uh, I'm going with three this week. Grambling, Virginia, and Jim's Marquette Golden Eagles. I like the Nigel James trains to keep chugging along here.
Good, good, good. Yeah, I went 4-1 last week. I should have mentioned that. Hey, that's good. We should be pumping that up. Should have been 5-1, but for some reason I didn't want to. I was too strict on the NC State price, Matthew. Although, had I known Vasar was going to be out of that game, I would have still
Yeah, that
ridden
was
NC
huge.
State against North Carolina for sure. Only Kai was smart enough to take it at the all the way up to 7 though. So
Yeah, and that
respect to
matchup
Mr.
too.
McEwen.
That was just like an absolute gut wrenching. Just yeah, that's tough.
Yep. But that's it, folks. That's it for our Monday episode here of BBOC. Make sure to tune in the rest of the week. You've got the midweek crew, and I will be back on the weekend episode with Greg Waddell and Stuckey. Thank you to Matt and Kai for tagging in the last 2 weeks. Much appreciated there. Hey, good luck with all your wagers. We'll catch you back here next week.